Something's going on in Illyria. Let's see if we could get Studio up here.
He's in here.
He's in here, but not up here.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one of the things we'll talk about later, the void pool. That's an interesting topic.
It is pretty up and current.
Yeah. I guess another item that is current is the FIFA AI League.
Correct. I'm not actually very close to AI League. Suda might be closer than I am, so I won't be able to add much except for how awesome I think it looks. But I can go into like kind of where I touch on in ASM and Futureverse, what I'm working on.
Okay, well, maybe I'll start the show off a little bit. We start the show off usually by talking about what happened in the past week in Futureverse. And we have some new events, and the big one is the Future Pass. It's really like people are now on the Root network for the first time this week, which is very exciting. And a big step in the direction that this whole ship is going in. On top of that, we have the monthly newsletter, probably nothing. And then from ASM side, we want to talk about the Void protocol and maybe some other topics. And I think that's pretty much the week that was. Operating without the co-host of the show, who's flying back from New Zealand to America. So everyone wish Somnium a safe flight. And let's talk to our guests. And also, maybe we can troubleshoot Studio's connection issue, maybe. I'm not sure, but on my end, it says connecting with like a circle going around and around for a long time. So I'm not 100% sure what the issue might be. But
should I message him?
Yeah, maybe. Well, for now, how about you focus on talking and Studio.
Yeah, sure.
I think you're aware that you need to use a phone to connect. I think you probably couldn't get to the screen without that. Maybe try checking if there's an update for Twitter. And if you have continued issues, maybe send me a DM, or maybe someone else can help that is knowledgeable on these topics. Okay. For now, let's talk to Nova. Nova, what have you been working on recently?
So recently, I was leading the development of Void Protocol, some quality of life upgrades as well to genome mining coming. So some accessibility kind of upgrades that I haven't actually talked about publicly yet, but I guess I could, because it's pretty soon on the horizon. And also the Third Kingdom is my remit. So quite busy out here. Also the genome attribute mapping event, or I guess we could just call it the genome mapping event, has also been something I've been touching. So I'm a producer and product manager for Altered State Machine, as well as a founding advisor. Been around for a long time, involved with most things except for the game streams, which Suda has a lot more context on. But I'm happy to answer anything where you guys are interested.
Awesome. So I guess let's start off by talking about the Void protocol. There was an event earlier this week, over the weekend, where people had an opportunity to do what exactly?
So Void protocol is a reoccurring in-game event where the community basically has an opportunity to come in and deploy canisters of Asto energy to help stabilize the map of Illyria and keep the citizens from harm. Yeah.
So that's the lore behind it, but the actual mechanics are such that people can contribute Asto energy in exchange for something?
Correct. So the reward element of participating in the Void Protocol is LP tokens.
So Asto energy in exchange for LP tokens. That's cool. And the first event was such that if people were checking, like active on Twitter and like paying attention and close to their Ethereum wallet, they only had, it was like kind of a race to get into to participate, and it was over after a few minutes. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. So when developing the Void Protocol, the idea was kind of like fairness, rewarding people who are active and engaged in the community. So all of our like very valuable community members, you know, as well as being fun and, you know, driving the narrative that we that is transpiring across genome mining. I do have some statistics across like the void pools. They have been quite quickly neutralized across, I think we've had 5 now. And also kind of like the gas implications around that as well. I wouldn't say it has been a race. It's more like it's been positioned so that we have distributed it out instead of having, you know, one big drop and then everyone misses out and it's only if you were there kind of thing. You know, we kind of split it up across multiple time zones, multiple days, etc., so that as many people as possible could, you know, be around for it, be awake for it, get a heads up for it and participate. And of course, yeah, it wasn't designed so that, you know, people would be alerted, like the same person would be alerted to the same void pool, you know, every single time. It's more of like a spread of opportunity across our quite diverse user base.
Awesome, and it looks like Studio is finally operational.
Welcome to the
Yo.
Hey there. Do you want to introduce?
Fine.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Suda from marketing. Suda. I work within marketing, but also with product side. I'm basically Lenny's #1 hype man. That's my official job, really.
Suda's been doing amazing work in kind of coordinating the narrative, the lore, the marketing, the mechanics behind the release, a lot of the gamification behind it too. He's done a very good job in that for this first run of Void Protocol.
Thank you.
Awesome. And Somnium, you're here with us. Are you about to get on a plane?
Yeah, currently on the plane, so I'll be muted most of the time and probably gonna have to drop here shortly, but we are boarded and locked in. Glad you guys are here. Appreciate it. Everybody popping up.
We wish you a safe flight. It's a long one, so try your best to make sure to stretch every few hours. Good advice, right?
That's the plan.
I wonder if Pufferfish's top 5 will address how to be on a plane for a long time. All right. So, Suda, did you want to talk about how the AFA AI League is going?
I'm also not on that stream, but obviously I'm with the community and did a lot of testing with it. But AFA is Do you mean AFA or the FIFA AI League? Sorry.
The FIFA AI League for now.
Yeah, AI League, the testing has been like incredibly valuable. I've been reading through some of the feedback and stuff like that. So when we did the internal testing, there was like a feedback loop there where some iterations were made and some new versioning was done. And then that's the public release for the public beta that people have seen so far. Apple is still being a little bit troublesome, but we're working with Apple to figure that out. But Android is just getting slicker and slicker, really. There will be more iterations and more, because we've got like 1,000 people in that 1,000 pool people giving us feedback. I think there's some learnings from there that will be implemented. But again, I'm not really in that stream on a product level, so I can't speak too much more than that. But all I know is the feedback has been great so far, and the changes being implemented will roll out consistently.
We also have Matt and Brooke on the stage. Let's hear from Matt first and then Brooke.
Hey, thanks for having me on. So just one question about the void pools. I've been fortunate enough to participate in 2 of them, but I was wondering if the LP token reward is meant to be the same for every pool. I mean, it seems like that's the case so far, but I was just wondering if they would change, and then you may choose or choose not to participate in that void pool based on the reward. So just curious, any thoughts there?
Yeah. So they are designed, every single void pool has the same reward value. I believe it would be a confusing user experience if we had, multiple void pools that had differing values, like reward values, because at this stage it's kind of setting that, user perceived value of Asto energy. And if you're constantly changing that, then that becomes skewed.
Perfect. That's all I had.
Cool.
Welcome, Brooke. What's going on? Thanks for joining us.
It's been so long. I miss you guys.
Yo.
How is everybody? Som did break me. We did 48 to 72 hours. I actually don't know how long it was, our session, but it was a long session. And so I'm sad to see you leave New Zealand, but I'm thinking it's going to be better for my health. Oh, is he? He's actually
got to look after your health, man.
Has he been shut down? Is he like the plane has shut down?
He's on a plane, and apparently they took off about a minute ago.
Wow, we had an amazing, awesome time in New Zealand, and he's a great example of make the trip. It's a long trip, but it's an awesome trip. So,
what did you guys do?
Highlight for me, our highlight moment there was quite a few highlight moments with them, because we had sessions back at mine with Carmen singing, and I've said it to everybody, if there's ever a thing that you want to see, it's like a jam session with Carmen. She's amazing. But we got a speedboat to go to a super yacht, to go to a party, to go to an island. It was awesome. There's awesome times to be had by all. It's been a strange summer here, but that was great. And like I said, 72 hours of craziness. And then my wife is slowly, I think I'm allowed to go back out this weekend after going out with him 10 days ago. Outside of that, life is good, man. Life is good. What do we want to cover? Do you guys have any questions?
Well, I guess another thing that is new is there's going to be some type of drug receipts drop for a onesie coming up. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, I just posted something because I'm so fascinated by, I 30 years ago started in clothing, and so I'm fascinated by it. I think everyone knows just how much faith I have in Arlo as an artist and as a designer, and this onesie has none of you all would have actually touched it and felt it and had it on yet, but you would have seen it maybe because Aaron and I got advanced copies. We had them sent to New Zealand straight away, and it's just so awesome. And it's like everything that I imagined that Arlo would do if we gave him kind of the creative reign. So that's kind of cool. So that is dropping on Friday. It's in a capsule, meaning that there's a rarity kind of element in there. It's a little bit kind of gamified, i.e. not everyone's going to get the onesie. There's 75 onesies in there. There is a trait drop if you have a Stabby DRX, or if you have a female crypto walker with a onesie, you're going to get that onesie, which is pretty awesome, I think. You'll be in rarefied air. I can't say who, but we've already had requests from like global folks to get those onesies. So there's kind of, you guys might have started to see that there's some good hype. I think there's been 5 or 6 articles about the onesies released in the last 24 hours. And as happens when people see these, they like start to request them. So there's a couple of pretty big global stars that have asked to get their onesies, which is kind of awesome. We hope they'll post them. What else? I posted about how this is transformative, right? So the biggest challenge for any clothing company, whether you be making like 100 t-shirts or your Nikes, the biggest challenge is forward planning. And when you look at like the basic premise of Web3, which is kind of, community involvement, the idea of pre-making or pre-ordering, indenting from the get-go, where you say we're going to make these items, people pre-order them, the market determines the size range, the colors, the quantities. That's just such, like, it just, for a clothing company, that just takes like 90% of the risk out of the order, right? It's just a really interesting idea. And I know it's kind of a nerdy thing to kind of point out, but it's a pretty amazing mechanic that they've got. So the metadata effectively in the digitals will be determined at mint. So you'll say, for instance, I think you may buy three of these capsules, and you might say, well, listen, I think XXL is going to be really popular because it's going to be popular with hip hop and the hip hop community, or like, whatever. And so you will create 3 XXLs, knowing full well that you're going to sell 2 of those on the market. You are effectively helping determine the post-market supply. And that to me is like fucking nuts, right? Have I just bored you all into it?
I guess
is anyone still listening?
I have a question.
Well, just extrapolate that to Jordan's, guys. Extrapolate that to where, say, Nike and Artifact understand, and I think they'll copy this. Say they go out there and they say, listen, we're going to make this next Jordan range. You're going to determine not just what the order supply is for you, the collectors, but you're going to start to speculate on what post-market supply should be. So nuts. Sorry, go.
Blowing minds right now.
Yeah. It's huge. It's huge, and especially for a company the size of Drug Receipts. So, eventually, you might even build infinite mint here. At the moment, there's only 750 of these things available. It's a really tight mint. The idea is to establish sell-through. The idea there's only 75 of these onesies keeps them, apart from the trait drops, keeps them really, really tight. And it's kind of like if you were there for the first ever kind of item of clothing like this.
Would you wear a onesie out and about?
I've already worn it. I will upload it. I don't know if I'm allowed to. I'll upload me wearing it on the super yacht. I was already wearing it on the super yacht, drinking.
How was the reception?
People, dude, this thing is so like straightforward. I mean, there's no doubt that it is kind of like it's an item. It is like a serious item, but people, if you're rocking it, you're rocking it. And Aaron, who is Aaron, and he's so heavily involved. We've had such a great history of kind of working with some great creatives. We're working with Mintage and all these other things. I mean, Aaron's saying that there is nothing like this in Web3. I back that up. It's just such a cool item of clothing. And if you guys, someone was just talking about, we're just talking in Discord about DRX. Evan from Cool Cats, who's an artist from Cool Cats, and now has Ghost Boy, reaching out. Obviously saw this or just saw what Drug Receipts were doing, reaching out and saying, I want to collaborate. Shows you where this will go. Every single cool limited edition collaboration is just going to build more and more momentum to where, like, in a couple of years' time, I can only imagine who they'll be collaborating with on these limited run, really high-end kind of pieces.
Awesome. Well, Tybo has joined the stage. Welcome, Tybo.
Hello.
Hey, Tybo.
I guess I don't really have much to say right this second. I just thought I'd help Max with because Som's not around, but I'm happy to be here for now.
Hey, can I tell you another cool thing I'm doing at the moment? Like, this is relevant for all of you guys, I think, or for all of the people. And it's kind of, I'm probably kind of jumping way too far ahead. But we've been working on this software thing, Otterfish, for a long time now. In fact, it's where Trevor and I first met. He's working on that with me, Trevor from Drug Receipts. And it's like content approval software, right, for creators. So like agencies upload a brief, content creators, influencers kind of put their concepts up, and then they get approved, and then they upload their content, and then they get it approved, and then it's off. Like about a month ago, we started working with ChatGPT, and we put in the API. And now, and so I'll get to why this is relevant for all of us in a second, but now they upload the brief, and then the creators who are, flat out and doing stuff, just press generate concept. It reads the brief, ChatGPT reads the brief, and then goes through and kind of builds creative ideas for influencers for their content, right? Just pops them out, and then they kind of edit them, and it puts the, for hashtags that are going to guarantee, a bit of virality and the right emojis, etc., which is kind of cool, right? And that's got everyone fizzing. The next phase is that we've shown people what a brain can do, because the brain, of course, could specifically learn from that creator or brand, understand their brand Bible, have a whole bunch of proprietary information there that general AI won't have, including like proprietary branding, specifications, concepts, things like that. And then you've got the start of what I've been waxing on about for a very long time, a personal assistant, first for these creators and brands, but eventually for all creatives. So that's kind of the most exciting shit of my day right now.
I wanted to ask Nova a question that was on my list of questions to ask, and it was about the transition from Ethereum to the root network. So, for example, all of the brains, the AFA characters, every NFT that is associated with ASM is currently on the Ethereum network. How do you see that moving forward? Do you see everything being bridged, some things being bridged? And just, I guess, talk about that subject.
Yeah, so it's particularly important, I think, for genome mining and the products that we currently have on the Cortex, the Lunaris machine included, so like kind of the staking center, etc. Those definitely have a future en route. It would be obviously increasingly valuable. We want the vision for Gen 2 brains, for example, is uncapped, infinite supply, mineable for every use case that anyone needs going forward, and scaling that with the root only makes sense. As for the bridging of assets, that's not something I can particularly reveal or talk about at the moment, but it is on the horizon. Currently, though, not in the nearest future. Sorry, I think my audio just...
No, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's not in the most immediate future, so we do have improvements to genome mining coming within the next few weeks, if all goes to plan, of course, where there will be like gas optimizations, production cycle optimizations, etc. So basically removing kind of the cycle system and making it open and accessible to everyone. So that's kind of the next step, but the goal, of course, is also to be en route. It's just that there's a list of priorities and releases that are happening. So currently, we're in a good place. So those take the precedent at the moment.
Question. Does it make sense for people with AE, which stands for accumulated ASTO energy, which you get from staking ASTO or LP tokens? Excuse me. For people that have AE, does it make sense to mine for brains right now, given that the likelihood is once you mine a Gen 2 brain, you would have to pay gas money to port it over to the root network at some point in time, even if that is way into the future?
So the gas fees for the root network is obviously going to be quite low. I would say that securing your Gen 2 brains for the use cases that you would like to participate in, for the assets that you have, is the importance. That's the purpose, right? Of ASTO energy, of genome mining, is for everyone to have access to their interoperable AI. And there will be use cases coming in the near future where you're going to want to have some. So while I can't give advice on what you should do with your ASTO energy or your ASTO, it's definitely still a very viable product and viable economy. And that's why you see people continuing to mine to secure those assets for themselves.
And also how the map is set up is you get diversity of genomes depending on where you mine, and you might hit an ascended brain, etc. Those mechanics will get carried over, but at a certain point it becomes like a time-based game where the more time I've spent doing it, the more likely I'm going to hit something, or more likely I'm going to learn something about the use cases I want to participate in, and where I previously mined, and what kind of brains I got, etc. So there is an element of the more you do it, the more you know, and the better prepared you'll be later. But again, it's I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you the highlights of why I keep mining, kind of thing.
For sure, mining until you have kind of your repertoire or repository of brains that kind of have the genome weightings that serve the purposes and the use cases that you're looking for is quite important and can take quite a bit of time. So yeah, it continues to be, I suppose, lucrative in a utility sense. I
guess my concern is that although we expect the root network to have very cheap transaction fees, the act of moving something from Ethereum to another network, even if optimized, is relatively expensive. Even burning an item is expensive on Ethereum. And so that's the concern, not the gas fees on root. And the idea that in the future you can mine them directly onto root and bypass those gas fees, I feel like that is a heavy consideration, at least for myself, and definitely for others that were doing the analysis on the amount of gas that it might cost.
100%. Yeah, so currently, as I said, root network integration or porting for genome mining is not in the very near future, and use cases and utilities for Gen 2 brains is. So there is a need for them, but yeah, of course, we will consider the bridging mechanics fairly. We're not going to obviously cost our users. We're always going to keep our users in mind, our community in mind. We don't want you guys to obviously have to make those kinds of decisions. So we will go on the path that makes the best sense, both for Gen 2 brains and for the future of genome mining, and for our community and their journey onto root.
Tybo, have you been mining Gen 2 brains recently, or did you stop a while ago?
I got 5 ascended brains, and I was happy. And so I haven't used my Esto energy yet. yet, because I also want to try out the Void protocol. 1 second, I just need some water.
Both my voice and Tybo's voice
potatoes.
is struggling.
I blame Twitter.
Yeah, so I just think that me wanting to try out the Void protocol, I was away for the weekend, so I didn't get the chance to participate yet. But I want to try that out, see how that works. And I think it's really cool getting involved in a gamified way, like to earn rewards. Like Nova was saying, active participants getting rewarded is a good incentive for people that are sticking around and participating. So yeah, appreciate the team's effort and keeping us engaged in unique and different ways.
Yeah, I mean, like, we always want to reward our most engaged community members, and also the way Void Pools was set up at the moment was only people with available Astro energy were able to participate. So it was so if you've been with us, you're pretty much the only ones who can participate. But in later clusters of Void Pools, when this one is finished, it'll be like an easier path for more people to be involved. But we just wanted to make the first time exciting for the people who've rolled with us.
This is a little segue to the conversation, but it's related to ASM. I'm noticing Project Tempest and Friend, FRND, is bringing out some information. Is there going to be any involvement with using Astro Energy for that project at all, or is that still not disclosed?
I feel like Dan will kill me if I give any alpha on Project Tempest. I don't know any. Astro Energy currently, while we have spoken about it, isn't in the talks, but Asto is. So they have publicly announced that you can stake Asto for their product. But yeah, currently not yet.
By the way, has anyone figured out what FRND stands for? I don't know.
FRND. Brooke, do you know?
I do not, but I tell you what, let's have replies to this spaces with best guess and even best wrong answers. So that'd be a great little interactive session of the spaces, kids. So I'm going to get in there right now and guess. Okay, hold on.
I'm going to log into ChatGPT and ask them what it stands for.
Hey, has anyone else been using 4 today? GPT-4?
I've been hearing some good things about it. Someone made Pong in like 60 seconds, and it's been some amazing. Yeah, it's crazy. There's some crazy things going on with ChatGPT-4. I wonder what ASM's going to do instead. But yeah, go on.
Oh no, again, we're talking to both sides. In fact, we're talking to a lot of sides of the coin because that software I was talking about, we're partners with AWS in this, and Amazon has been working large language, and Meta has large language. Everyone's got large language models, and they're really useful and interesting. But from what I understand, again, once we get into actual really interesting commercial applications, they're not great for a number of reasons. One, the most important one is that this broad API concept, right? So you every single bit of software you know right now is putting a GPT API out, right? So you would have seen Slack and Salesforce. But what that means is there's just no proprietary. A lot of it's not proprietary, right? The next phase in AI will have to be exactly what we've talked about for a long time. How do you build like strong AI that's working for you, whether you're a brand or a human? So in that sense, that's the proprietary tech that ASM has. It puts them in an even stronger position. So, I mean, there's lots to love about what ASM is doing right now. Like I was saying, in our commercial application, GPT will scour like the whole internet for some great ad ideas. But the only way, if you were, say, I don't know, like Starbucks, the only way for you to make those posts and that content really Starbucks is by having a whole bunch of the proprietary information that Starbucks has there, whether that be commercial or just branding or historic. Anyways, I could ramble on about that shit for ages. That's right, we're going to find out what the acronym stands for.
Okay, everyone, we have a surprise and sudden top five alert. The top 5 acronyms for FRND, courtesy of ChatGPT, are fully robotic navigation design.
Oh yeah.
Number 4, future robotic needs development. Number 3, functional robot network deployment. Number 2, flexible robotic network design. And number 1, fast robotic navigation device.
Did you somehow, in your prompt, did you say that this thing had to be aimed at robotics?
No, it just knew that automatically.
Yeah. Okay.
Just kidding. No, that's not possible. Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's so funny. I mean, we live in kind of like AI is about like, it's a toddler, or not even a toddler right now, and it's interesting that series of replies is kind of laughable, right? Funny. That's
anyway. I hope Pufferfish's top 5 is better than that one.
Yeah. Let me see if GPT-4 is better. Be interesting to see. I'll hack it in now.
What other topics regarding ASM do you think we should discuss, Nova and Suda?
Huh? It's a good question, Suda. You got any ideas?
Can I ask you guys, the FIFA beta test, which I am not a part of, I'm upset about. When do you think that will go wider, like into broader community, so that people like me can play? I'm really excited about it.
Hey, I didn't get into the beta either. Can I just say that?
Yeah, I just want to get my hands on it.
Wins from you now.
When March, it's always March 15th or April 42nd.
April 42.
April 42nd. But I mean, is it like months away, or you can go vague, right? Is it like days away, months away, weeks away, years away?
Not my place to say at all. I'm so sorry. It's not far off though. They're definitely taking on the feedback and they're actioning, but not my place to say. And for the record, I didn't get into the beta either. Extremely salty. I've been watching all of you.
Are you on iPhone, Brooke?
Yeah,
Me?
no, that's actually, I have it. I would literally go back to Samsung. I changed back to iPhone recently, but then when I saw, it's so funny. It's not a one-off either. This is going to be the next 10 years of our life. We're going to be battling with these idiot companies. I mean, we could definitely talk. At some point in time, we should definitely talk about how Meta, who I work with all the time, and are constantly talking about how forward-thinking they are, have just rolled back and they're going to sunset their NFT implementation. Like, these guys are just such idiots. But yeah, so yeah, I've got an iPhone.
Next time in the office, I'll give you a little trial play.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's all I was fishing for. Now all you need to do, there are 54 other people on this, and if they just stop by the office, they'll get a trial. Is what we're saying. We guarantee. Done.
We'll share some more info very soon on that though. So
fighting for the people.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Again, it's not my project, not my remits, and not my place to say. While I would love to feed you some of that alpha, I can't. But on the topic of,
not my circus.
Yeah. Not my rodeo. On the topic of feedback, though, in terms of the Void protocol, it's been really good. So we hear you. We see all the feedback in the channels. The idea for this release is kind of to gauge, like, how the community values what we're doing. how people would like to participate, what people would like to see from us going forward. So continue to feed that to us, and we take that on board.
Cool.
I've been playing the FIFA AI League, and I guess I'm at a point with it where I feel like right now it's kind of confusing on what. So to give people some context, you have a set of 4 characters with their own pre-designed genome, and that equates to different skills. And basically, with those skills, you have, I guess you could say, like strength, power, accuracy, part of each character. But then you can choose different play sets, some to be a better goalie or to be a better shooter, or to give them like specific AI models that I guess design the character to play a certain way. But at the moment, it feels kind of like you're trying to do these different play styles, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like you're seeing much difference. At the moment, it's sort of like you're not quite sure if that made much of a difference. And what ends up happening is that I'm sticking to a method that is kind of like just shooting for the goals and hoping for the best, because the more shots at the goal, the better chance you have at winning. And I'm less inclined to do other skills because of that. And I'm just wondering, will there become a point where like choosing different skills will actually make a big impact, or is it just early days at the moment? I'm just curious, Suda, if you know any or have any insight onto how that will roll out, or is it this is basically the game and it's going to be slightly improved over time?
Before I continue, a quick word from our sponsors that make the show possible.
Introducing Fraz Cola, the world's premier beer-flavored beverage.
It's Fraz, delicious, highly nutritious with a top-secret recipe that's so delicious.
Nothing beats the buzz of a cool Fraz Cola. What are you waiting for?
We're getting Fraz to the NAS.
Consume at your own risk. Symptoms may include and death.
I mean, I could have guessed that obviously the biggest challenge with all of this is understanding the variability, like and making it a difficult game and an interesting game and a game that you can have an effect on. That's the hardest part of this. The first thing is building the parameters that make that variability available, right? And then adjusting them to scale properly.
The variability is there, but what I've noticed is like I've leveled up this thing called Space Cadet, which tries to stay open so you can pass to him. And then I've also used Team Player, where he passes the ball, but it kind of feels like it's just kicking the ball in random directions, or it's more likely to kick the ball in general, but the chance of it actually passing seems very random. It doesn't seem like it's hard to tell that the skill is making a difference, and when it does make a difference, but you don't know exactly what. And I guess what I'm saying is, like, will we see a bigger impact where you actually notice when you choose a different skill, it actually is making a difference? Because that's when I think the gameplay is going to really shine and improve a lot. Right now, it feels like the gap to beginner to pro is very small, and then that reduces the gameplay experience and the fun of it if it's limited to like, oh, you've got the most out of it now, and then what's next? So I guess I'm just excited to see the skills, the different variabilities actually have more of an impact.
So there's a bit of this feedback coming through in the loop as well, and there's a couple of things to remember with AI League and almost all AI games. If you want to be part of the journey throughout, like you have to think about it in a sense like that it's childlike at this current iteration, and you do need to spend some time like retelling that skill till your child learns it kind of thing, and so that's like one of the main components that is built in, but also in terms of when I as a player will start seeing these changes and how they'll be implemented is all part of the iterations that are being done in the back end. And also the ELO type rating system will be like tweaked quite significantly to help aid in what you were just talking about, Max, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I guess at the moment it's like they're almost like the early iteration of them being a bit like 5-year-olds, and you don't want to just like go all out. I guess the suggestion that I was thinking is like you start off your characters, when a new player comes and plays, they see their characters kind of aren't that great, but as they win matches, the AI actually has a way of improving and being more I guess responsive to the different skill sets, and then it can get to a point where it's like fully unlocked the capabilities, and then like, you know, one slight variability change actually can decide a match, and then that gives more like thought on like, okay, if I choose this skill, I think that's gonna give me a slight more defense, and I'm gonna be able to you know, because each team that you verse has a bunch of different skill sets against yours. So I would like to see that I actually have to think about, you know, when I'm looking at all the skills that someone else has, what skills should I put down for my characters to try and beat them?
I think that's exactly it, right? When you're facing opponents with different strategies, you have to adapt. So for example, if you're always plugging the same strategy of, okay, let's find an opening and shoot for the goal, well, other teams are also going to find ways to evade you and shoot for the goal in return. And that's what's going to happen when you kind of progress in ELO and you face teams that are more and more developed. It is a slow upwards progression. And I think that's what is currently being optimized.
Yeah, awesome. Now that sounds exactly how you'd want it to be, as you can't just be mindless with your skill sets and hope for the best every time. That you actually have to change it up and go, okay, well, they've got this skill, I'm going to need to change it up a little bit. But that, I guess what I'm saying at the moment, it's less impactful, and I'm just excited to see it actually make a bigger difference when the characters, I guess, get smarter and perform the tasks more efficiently and better.
100%, that's the goal, right?
Yeah,
but overall,
sure.
The game's really fun. Like, I just felt that was the main feedback, is like, because what I did is I got my characters, I'm like ranked 26, and I searched Super Wilder, who was number 1, and I versed him, and I beat him 2-0, and I was like, should that even be possible? So I guess it just makes me wonder, like, how impactful.
You've never been beaten by a button basher before?
Yeah, well, that's definitely true. Like, I guess there's nuance to the situation where, like, at that skill level, he's probably versing people that have a play style that's different to the play style that I was playing at my level. So I guess there's nuance to it all.
And any sport, any sport or game, it's really interesting to balance making something easy enough for new people to get that win, but then difficult enough to where there's longevity, right? It's the difference between kind of, you know, why surfing is such an addictive sport, and golf, because it's so freaking hard, but you get that one or two little like great moments, right? So that there's so much balance to be engineered into the game.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the very first iteration of AI, and you can definitely tell it's AI. I've been, as an AI enthusiast, I watched this YouTube channel of AI characters playing and learning, and there was this hide and seek model, and it just the way that they move, it's all very similar, and it's cool to see the AI models actually change based off the skills that you do change. And one of the things that David McDonald was mentioning, I think it was yesterday, that there was an exploit that the AI figured out that if they get stuck in the corners, they can actually kick the ball out of the field and then it returns back to the center. And it was the AI doing that on purpose. It wasn't designed by the team. It was the AI finding that exploit and then kicking it out. And so it's just interesting to see that as an actual development of the AI.
Yeah, if anyone's out there interested in AI, I mean, you guys all are obviously. The that study Tybo's referencing actually is formative in David even coming up with the idea. I think is like nearly 2 years ago or whenever it came out, he showed me that. And in that study, like the AI finds exploits in the hide and seek, right? It's battling against each other. And so, yeah, it's definitely worth taking a look at. And it's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, I think eventually it started breaking the game engine that it was in to do what it wanted. So it gets pretty nuts. In terms of reinforcement learning, I'm talking more in AFA terms than AI lead terms now. But if you take that model, it is kind of like a button bashing model. It's going to try all the things all the time. And how you train it will be through like reward and disincentivizing certain tasks. So if you want to train a goalie, you would give it more rewards when it saves a goal, when it stays within your half of the play field, when it tackles players, and then you might want to disincentivize actions like stepping across your half of the field, trying to take strikes toward the goal, trying to do non-goalie actions basically. So if you think about it in that sense, AI models will click a bit more, if that tracks. I don't know if I explained it properly.
No, I totally am visioning like the whole idea of like AFA is you really are going to be able to design each character to be like to learn exactly how you would like it to learn. Like I assume the training gyms, you'll go into a training gym and there would be different training styles like striker, goalie, passer, and then you would click your character or your brain to train in the goalie environment. And basically what you're saying with the reinforcement learning is that you set the parameters of where the AI should be, and will there be like this arbitrarily number system in the background where as it's near the goals, it will get like a +1, +1, +1, and as it moves away from the goals, it would get like a -1, -1. So the AI will know that it wants to go towards getting more +1s. Is that like a simplified way of how the AI is learning? You set the parameters, the AI goes in those environments, and it gets like an arbitrary number to say that this is what you need to be doing. Is that sort of?
I mean, it pretty much exactly works like that, but also instead of just +1, there's also -1s, and it's a scale. So you could have -1 to 10. So you might want to suggest that I don't want you to do this action, but if you're faced with an opportunity where that would help, then you can do so, kind of thing. But also AI doesn't work the way like you think it should, so it's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, like you said, like the whole like situational scenarios where I have an AI that I call Super Stopper in the AI League, and he's actually a really good goalie, but there are like these interesting moments where he's near the ball and the rest of the team is on the other side and they're running towards, but he doesn't want to go near it because he wants to stay being the goalie. and it comes back. He's like, he wants to go near the ball, but he's like, but I need to, I have this preference of being this goalie right now, so I don't want to go near it. And then eventually, like another teammate actually goes and grabs the ball instead, or the opposing team ends up getting it. So that's one example of like, how would you? Because there's two skills that you can choose. So what I've tried to do is like, okay, how do I get the goalie to also be opportunistic when it makes sense to? but still predominantly be that goalie. So yeah, that's been the fun for me with the AI League, is like seeing how the AI is performing. Oh, how could I tweak that? And I would like to see over time more impact on the tweaking. But yeah, so far I'm seeing little bits of it here and there, and I can definitely see it improving. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, there's also aspect of like, there's those two aspects of training and how to train, but also there is the genome, you know, that's like the nature versus nurture aspect of AI, where we all have diversified genomes, and the same model with the same training won't behave the same way, kind of thing. Maybe Nova can expand more on this if she wants.
Would you like to maybe throw out a question for me to expand on?
Yeah, so I, with AI League, you have the genome weights. One that I have accuracy 10, and I assume, okay, that must be better at shooting goals. So I put him in a position to try and be a goal shooter. But I for some reason, I feel like he doesn't want to shoot. And then I've got the goalie who's got low accuracy, literally hitting the goals perfectly from the other side of the field. I guess what I've found with talking with others is, what exactly is the genome weight influencing, and how do we it's hard. I guess I'm finding it hard to notice what it actually is doing and how much improvements it actually has. And maybe you could go into what some of the skills, what some of the genome weights are, because I know there's power, but what does power mean? I know there's stamina, but what's that mean in the context of the game? I don't know if you can delve into that, but because I feel like it's where I'm making assumptions on what those things mean, but it would be cool to know exactly what that actually means in the context of the game.
In the context of AI League, again, I can't really speak to it, as it's not really my territory. What I can say, though, is kind of what's prescribed is the attribute mapping on that genome, which is agnostic to like every genome within that game. So while you might have like high weightings in that particular area, that would make it like specialized. So if you were to train it in that skill, then it should perform on average better. However, sub-attributes, so for example, within power, you might have, I don't know, like left foot kick power or something like that as kind of a sub-attribute. So it also is a balance between how the main attribute is mapped with that sub-attribute, and that's kind of how it should perform. As for like the optimizations and the mappings with AI League itself, I can't speak on that at all. I wouldn't know the answers there. However, it could be kind of a, like just because something is more specialized doesn't mean that it necessarily will perform better. Sometimes balance can be better for certain strategies, certain actions that you're looking for example. And
but also,
I mean,
also, this is what beta is for. Beta is specifically to make some small adjustments, but often very large adjustments like this. It's, the alpha phase here would have been like, just core 10 people trying. Beta, it widens out, and so be massive changes being made.
Yeah, for sure. I would assume that things are still being optimized and still being mapped in the areas that are kind of fit for the attribute itself. However, again, just because something is specialized doesn't necessarily mean like training, for example. Determinism isn't everything. Training and experience accounts for a lot, and I think that's what a lot of people are finding in AI League currently.
Yeah, also that actually expands into team play as well. Like if you have 4 specialists, it may not work the way you think it should work. And that might be that. I mean, that's probably true in real life as well, right? Like, you might have a specialist that isn't so much of a team player, and the team has to adjust to that player as well. So it's a lot of trial and error and experience. I think time spent with your team will make you, more masterful how to train them, etc. And then you might just decide I want to swap the brain out at some point and try something different.
Yeah, for sure. We will be looking for feedback especially from Genesis brain holders and from our community on kind of where they would expect attributes to be mapped on a genome matrix. So, for example, when you're looking at a brain, kind of like a vertical slice of a brain, you have certain areas that attribute to motor skills, emotion, etc. In the same way, in a very use case agnostic way, how the community feels about genome matrices and these specific attributes, especially the most important ones that you see across many games and worlds, like strength, power. Those are kind of the same thing, I guess. Intelligence, etc. So we will be searching for that feedback, and that's what the attribute mapping event is, which is currently still on its way.
Do we know what the attributes are going to be? So it's a 4x4 grid with lots of little squares inside those grids. I think it's 10 by 10. Do we know what the attributes are going to be to choose from? Is that public knowledge yet?
No, not yet. We haven't revealed anything. What I can say is that we're still optimizing. So going across the different games that are being developed, game studios, and also scraping from other use cases and trying to figure out which ones are going to be the most valuable and formative for feedback. If the community has kind of suggestions, we'll always take them. But yeah, currently, there's very obvious things, like we just said, strength, intelligence, etc., that you see across most games. What else? Like stamina, a lot of things like that you'll see, but you'll also see more use case specific things, as well as sub attributes. It's currently just getting that feedback from the game producers themselves to kind of optimize and figure out what we want to see and what's going to give holistically, across every use case that we have in the foreseeable future, the most valuable output.
We have no credits joining the stage. Welcome.
Hey team, I had a lot of fun playing the game last week. I injured my back, so I had a couple of days in bed with nothing to do, so it was perfect timing. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask about the actual learning process. I had a lot of fun trying to balance traits depending on who my current arch nemesis was, and I ended up getting to a point where I was playing sort of one or two people only every time, and it was almost like the game was trying to win over them first and then move on. And I just wanted to know, how much of what we're experiencing in the beta is actual learning versus just me tweaking aspects of it that sort of mathematically overcome a situation.
Kind of not in our product territory, so I don't know I don't know the actual answer, but when we say learning models, it's a bit different. We're getting into AFA territory, where your model is constantly learning and you're sort of directing how it learns. But in AI League, I think it's a lighter AI model, so I don't think it's quite, it's not a reinforcement learning model, but I can't speak to what it is because I'm not in that product space.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha. Well, it was a lot of fun anyway, and I had a lot of fun beating Tybo.
Yeah. Apologies, guys. We just don't want to give out any wrong information or say any wrong answers. So
no, it's totally okay. We don't expect you to know everything about everything. There's a big company, and everyone has a specific job or a job across multiple places, but not every place. Otherwise, it would be a small company, and it's not a small company. But we do have Mo Meta Music, and then we gotta let you guys go. It's been over an hour. And Mo Meta Music, and then I have to ask Somnium's question.
I'm just Mo Meta now. I've dropped the music. So, but my question is for Brooke. Just while we got you up here, buddy. Woo! Now, drug receipts. This is part of the Futureverse. So therefore, drug receipts assets are Futureverse assets, and when they get bridged over, surely they'll also be receiving a distribution of root token. Is that correct?
Whoa, that is an alpha-seeking question, and I have to interrupt alpha-seeking questions. Those are not allowed.
No, it's not. Well, I mean, listen, I can't give that up because I don't know. I can say that over time, it's become more and more clear that because it's slightly controversial, right? Its name is drug receipts, and it's Arlo's entire ethos has always been to kind of push the boundaries, and as such, when you're building this kind of global centerpiece, a company that aims to build the foundations of the metaverse, the functional, interoperable, and open metaverse, it's kind of sat intentionally on the outskirts for a little while because it is kind of this kind of interesting and cool art project. What's very clear is that more and more so, at least within the core components of the Futureverse, people see it as a really cool feature. Like, it's interesting, it's full of creative people, the community is unbelievably passionate, and the clothing is really, really cool. And so I think from my perspective as an objective, or as objective as I can be, it's becoming more and more a part of the future of Futureverse, in the same way that Mintage certainly is a part of Futureverse, and every other projects are. I have no idea that in terms of root, I have no idea what the distribution is, and in fact, I think that would be like the most heavily guarded secret out there for so many reasons, right? I can do my last plug. And that is
Brooke, that's what I wanted. I wanted a really short plug on the mint, the price. What's the mint price? What's the circulation? Like, how many? What's the supply? Just give me the basics, brother.
Just before you go into that, I just want to say I love how Brooke said I can't give out that alpha because I don't know, implying that he might have affected.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. I would just straight up give that. Yeah. That's why I don't know. I would straight up give that to you. I'm a man of the people. I need your approval. So no. So so what I know is that there's 750 capsules. In those 750 capsules, there are multiple items of clothing that are both IRL, like in real life, and URL, working with a lot of leading collections now on their digital wearable strategy. There's no doubt that we're probably ahead of most people in that sense, and that we're working with all of the Futureverse collections pretty closely, and we're also working with collections like Crypto Walkers that are outside of it, and a lot of other. You may have even seen that Hypebeast, Hatebeast, featured Eric's this morning. So there are other collections out there that are featuring this. I'm wandering away from my Wi-Fi. Hold on. Can you still hear me, guys?
Yeah, you broke up for a bit, but we can hear you.
Yeah. So it's me just wandering away. I've got some building happening here. So 750 cap. In that, there are 75, and all of them contain amazing clothing, including hoods that zip up with the Jason mask. So, like, in your worst case scenario, you're getting amazing clothing. But 75 of those 750 capsules will have the onesie in there, and the type of people, like I said, that are sporting those onesies now, there's some of the top kind of musicians in our ecosystem that have gotten them, that have managed to get ahead of the queue, as well as a whole bunch of other folks, and so they're going to be super sought after. Futureverse holders, the first folks, DRX and Crypto Walkers, will get a first stab at the mint. Then Futureverse holders, and both those sets are at 1.12 ETH, not 0.14, and then the public mint is at 0.14. when you look at the quality of the clothing and you realize that you're getting multiple items of clothing, so this is you're getting the digital assets, I don't think it's expensive compared to where other mints have been. Especially when you think about what we've got to develop. So if you imagine that to get those digital wearables working on other collections, we've got to now coordinate at drug receipts with all those collections so that your t-shirt that you've got in real life is also on your party bear, but you can also put it on your FLUF or on your Bored Ape or on your J-Punk or whatever it is. All the people that we're talking to, that's a lot of dev for us to kind of make these things interoperable. So that's how we kind of justify a price. I think it's probably underpriced, but that's just the nature of the game at the moment.
Well, the last thing is, where can I find a safe link to get me to the site I need to be on?
Boy, this is fantastic. This is great. Where can you find a safe? Well, why did I throw that back to you? Because it sounds like you're much more prepared than me. But I'm assuming you can just go to drugreceipts.com or DRX Store. We'll probably both have it. Is that right?
I don't know. It's your show, brother. I'm asking you.
Go. No shit. No, I mean I'm bloody. But certainly on Twitter. If you're not following Drug Receipts on Twitter, that's where all the information is going to be. We've got some cool spaces. I've got a podcast. I am going to a boozy lunch just before the podcast on our Friday, your Thursday, and so that is going to be a fun podcast. That is at 2 p.m. NZ time, which I think is probably around about 6 p.m. Pacific time, something like that. Daylight savings is a mystery to me. So I'm really looking forward to it, y'all. I just gave away my onesie to a guy called Kings, who's one of our biggest hip-hop stars here. And so I'm going to have to be in that mint trying to buy mine back.
My boy.
Well, I have a question. I have a question relating to what you were just talking about, Brooke.
Yes.
The dev time required to get all these digital collectibles to fit into the party bears or the fluffs or whatever cosmetic items you need to suit it to. Will there eventually come a point where we could use ASM and AI to help with this process?
Oh yeah. I mean, guys, it's such an interesting. This is one of the most interesting conversations out there, I think, right now, because I'll sit there and the business model that we designed does not work. It just like we look back on 2021 and we go, what a crazy business model, right? So we sell you a fluff for $300. 3 people mark it up to where it costs someone $4,000. Now the person that bought it for $4,000 expects $4,000 of value, but we've only made a net profit of maybe like $80 after all of our dev time on it, right? Already. But we're expected to provide 10 years of value for someone that bought it for $4,000, right? Including all the interoperability, gameplay, all of this. So the actual business model of the 2021 NFT world was like completely flawed. And we're just incredibly lucky that we've got the technology that's coming. You guys will have started. I've talked about it for ages now. When you look at what thingies are doing now with 3D environments and the work I think we're just lucky that we're about to hit a really strong, rich vein of AI making productivity a lot easier. Like we no longer have to write code. That's going to be really exciting for us. But yeah, I every now and then you get drunk with Aaron. I go, we got to do what? We got to provide all the value, and we made virtually none of the profit. Anyways, does that make sense to you all at all? How strange that is?
No,
Yeah.
it's totally normal. Also,
and so it's just this crazy thing that we'll look back on 2021 and 2022 and just go, okay, what an incredible experiment. The luck of it is, or the best thing about it is, and I think this is great, we just happen to have an incredible team, a guy in Aaron who is, in my mind, the smartest dude in the industry, who is able to make sure that we didn't spend money on stupid things, and we instead spent it on some really amazing technology and some great people. And so we've got a significant runway to deliver, but boy, a bunch of projects out there probably aren't in that space, right?
I do want to let our guests, Nova and Suda, go, but I have to ask them.
Hello.
Hi there. No,
Hello?
we can hear you, Brooke. Okay, I'm gonna mute you. But Suda Nova, I have to ask you the question that we ask all our guests. Somnium traditionally asked it, but I'll ask it in its place. What are you guys most excited about over the next few months?
Are you guys still here?
Hey there,
Can you
Brooke.
hear me, bro?
Yeah,
Oh,
Max
sorry,
is
got you back.
talking, but you can't hear him.
Oh, no,
we're
it's
gonna
okay.
do
I'm back now.
All right.
Anyway, Nova, do you want to go first, and then Suda?
I can go first about any alpha context, but what I'm the most excited about and what is grabbing my attention currently is the platform work that the team is doing, and the Third Kingdom is shaping up to be something incredible. So yeah, that's me. I'll leave it at that because I can't really say much more. Suda.
I'm excited for literally everything. I'm just like a fanboy of everything we do. I know that's like a lame answer, but it's 100% true. But also, I've just got David in the Slack. Do we want him to jump on? I know we're at the end, but if you guys have time,
Yeah, Tybo, do you object, or are you for?
I don't know. I've had enough of David. I'm just, of course, David. Get him on.
Wow, you really threw him under the bus there, Suda.
I'll send him the link. If he joins, he joins. Otherwise, Void Pools was a really super fun thing to do.
I can see him. He's joining.
Is my thing working now? Can you guys hear me? I can hear you, right?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Okay, sorry guys.
We got David joining. Potentially, he's in the chat. I've invited him to speak.
I think today's David Listener Day. However, I do have to go. It is 1:20.
Thanks so much for joining us. Everyone, please give some emojis and some applause for Nova and Suda. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Now, we have Jesse. Welcome, Jesse.
Hi. I can't believe they let me up here unsupervised. This is so great. What's up, everyone?
Hey, Jesse, you might have some answers to these questions, huh?
Yeah, that's sort of the reason why I wanted to jump on here, because Brooke laid down some pretty significant details that I just want to reiterate to you guys. So we had some discussion with the internal team with Drug Receipts. For those who don't know, I am doing the comms and the community stuff over at Drug Receipts. If you guys are ever there and you are getting pinged 50 times a day, it's usually because of me. So nice to meet you guys. But so we just had some discussions over the upcoming Kill Team Stabby collection that is minting in about 48 hours. But I just wanted to say that we wanted to offer something special to the Futureverse holders. We heard you guys' feedback in the FLUF server, and we've discussed with our team. So the public price for the mint will be 0.14, but for Futureverse asset holders, we're dropping it down to 0.12, so 0.12. So a bit of a discount to you guys. If you guys are interested in minting a little capsule that contains really a total of 6 items. I'm sorry, I don't mean to shill, but we're family.
Show. That sounds like we've tackled inflation, everybody. This is amazing. Prices are dropping.
See, when the banks fail, we win. Anyway, but yeah, guys. So I'll be dropping an official announcement on the Drug Receipts socials and on Discord. But if you guys want all of the information plus links to all the press coverage that we've been receiving over this collection, go ahead to drugreceipts.com/killerinfo. But yeah.
I will say I've been really impressed with how many people are picking up on this, which has been cool because, again, it's pretty hard to get any press picking up anything to do with the NFTs, even in the NFT world.
Well, I think it makes a good story. You know, it's something that I feel like these concepts, while wearables and stuff might not be everyone's cup of tea, you might be more interested in sort of the more gamification aspect of NFTs. There is an entire industry and culture that is going to grasp onto this, and they're the people that are going to be able to understand these spaces from a normie perspective are going to be the people that are in streetwear and in the sneaker world and in the fashion world, because these same NFT concepts translate pretty on parallelly, if that's a word, across the board. So we're really stoked to be a part of the Futureverse and be able to sort of lead along with these developments. So it's really exciting. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Great showing, boss.
Wait.
Max, thank you for letting us show, buddy.
Sorry. I want to show one more thing. I know how much you guys love spaces. So if you guys want to hang out in the space, we are going to throw a party space tomorrow around this time. Also, and you guys can win a Kill Team onesie. It'll be your last chance to win one until you mint one. So if you guys want to come hang out with us, mainly me, I'll be hosting it. I know, I'm a little scared. They're giving me the microphone, which is a little crazy. But we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye!
Thank you, guys. And now let's hear from
Again, thanks, Max.
David.
It's very sweet of you to let us come in here and take over. Thanks.
No worries, Brooke. Appreciate you coming in and talking from time to time. Always fun to hear your voice.
David,
like I said, I miss you guys. It's pretty exciting.
I just wanted to follow up on something that Brooke was saying about the AI. I thought it was an opportune for me to jump in because I know a thing or two about this. I just wanted to make something a little bit clear that maybe got missed in what Brooke was saying, is that we built our entire business model around the premise that the AI was going to this place. It wasn't by complete luck that we ended up here. It was on purpose and intentional. I mean, that's the whole reason why Altered State Machine exists in the ecosystem, is to fulfill this purpose, to make what we're doing scalable.
I think this is going to hit the bone because it touches on Thingy Alpha, but that, a year and a bit ago, understanding that we would be using AI supplying the community who would then use personal AI creative tools to build the worlds that we're talking about. We weren't going to be building them ourselves necessarily, but you have these personal AI tools that you are building your worlds with. It was completely mind-blowing to me like 18 months ago, hence why I got so excited, why I've been so excited about all of this for so long. So, yeah.
David, just maybe give a bit more context to someone who only just joined. What exactly were you referring to?
So I think Brooke was kind of talking about how the business model for the majority of the sort of NFT space is probably going to struggle to scale to customer expectations. That they may have sold an asset for $300. Made from the effort, made $80 in profit, but that asset has been resold for $4, $5, $10, $100,000, and the end user has $100,000 worth of expected utility, where there was only $80 worth of profit. So in order to make a lot of these business models work, the technology has to scale, and one of those really key pieces of technology that will enable that scale is going to be AI, and we're seeing that today happen, where we can now suddenly build these amazing pieces of utility in games and worlds at scales that never existed before, at scales that took $20 million and 5 years to build. We're going to see a world of possibilities where that's going to be shortened dramatically, and we can start to see real value out of what's been done.
So you guys are in the middle of doing a bit of everything right now. So you're building the AI models, Are you saying your user using these models right now for helping with development, or are you still in the prototyping the AI models?
The AI models, you're already using some of them. We've got a couple of examples out there with the AI models being used. Thingy's Art is an obvious example of that, and the FIFA game. But then just over the next couple of years, you'll start to see more of the stuff pop up that we've been working on.
Everyone I know in the creative industry is using AI already, or everyone reasonable is using AI already, be it for storyboarding or concepting, and there's no difference. I think we in our Thingies Lucid Dreaming podcast, we talked to the Project Tempest team who were already using it back then, and in fact I think they hired a Thingy. Is that right, David? I think that's
exactly.
Yeah. So they've got like a
Thingy working for them now.
yeah. So I mean, it's all early days, but like David's saying, it's the key to not just what we're doing to scale, but it's going to be every single company's ability to scale at an unprecedented level. Anyone that's seen that kind of flat line on human progress and then the vertical up and it says you are here, it's standing at the kind of the apex of it, and it's like there's no doubt that we're living at the start of significant human progress. Altered state machine leading.
It's really exciting thinking about how you drop these thingies with free to a FLUF holder. Of course, secondary markets are a whole different category of its own, but it was a free drop, and now you've just sparked a thought in my mind where I could essentially let my thingy be used by someone that wants to have an art companion that really wants to. I guess what I'm saying is like someone could either rent mine or buy one of their own and have their own AI art creator. And I guess what I wanted to ask, is there any way we'll eventually be able to train our thingy or is this more of a hive mind where it's all connected to one super brain and thingies are just tapping into that? Where do we see thingies progression taking place? Are we going to have any involvement, or is that more of your end of the thingy art?
No, you'll see some more involvement from thingies. Thingies won't be the only use case for digital art, I think, in Futureverse. I think you'll see it popping up in lots of different areas and stories and use cases. Thingies are certainly driven by the pioneers of it, and are driving a lot of the innovation in this space. But I don't think a lot of this AI is going to be exclusive. Just like the sports AI is not going to be exclusive to FIFA. You're going to see it pop up in a number of places throughout the ecosystem, and a lot of different ways of interacting with it.
Also, I reckon as we go on, there will be options for the community to actually play with the AI itself rather than play games. So when we start to roll out user manipulatable AI and stuff, we'd be looking out for use cases that you guys come up with, which is something I'm super excited about as well.
Yeah, I think I spoke to David about hackathons and the open source community participating in building on top of the altered state machine network. Is there any signs of that happening this year, or is it? I guess I have to be realistic with timeframes because things take time to build, right? But with this idea of a hackathon, that would be more after you guys have already showcased what you can do with a Gen 1 brain or a Gen 2 brain. And do you suspect us being able to start training Gen 1 brains this year, or is that something that's undetermined on timeframes? I'm not trying to look for any alpha here. I'm just looking for realistic ideas that you guys
definitely.
have.
And we're going to have some tools out soon for the developer community to play with. So we have a eat your own dog food philosophy here, where we want to use them internally first and stress test them and make sure that they're performing and doing what we say they're going to do. And then the idea is to start once certain components have been sort of tested and are robust enough, we're going to start releasing them and having the community play around with them and give feedback and direction to where we should be taking them. You'll see some of those tools coming out quite soon for people to play around with.
Yeah, I saw an AI dancing, and I also saw what looked like almost AI generated music, and you could mess around with the parameters. Is that the sneak peeks that I've seen from you and Aaron? Is that what you're referring to, or is that something else?
There's some of the abstracted tools, and there's whole things behind those. But I'm also talking about SDKs and APIs and tools for developers to play around with, to start making little things. So yeah, there's going to be more product style releases, which you're kind of referring to.
Yeah.
Around the AI, and also more developer style stuff as well coming up.
So, as a developer, say my brother makes games for a living, and I go, hey, they're bringing out this SDK. What kind of experience or knowledge do they need to potentially use this SDK?
Depends on what you want to do. You could just jump in and start learning from scratch. I mean, just like any developer tools, it's how much time do you want to devote to diving down that rabbit hole of learning.
If I do my job right, all of you guys will be able to do this at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me really excited to delve into it myself, and just because the more I've been learning about AI, it's something that I never had an interest in until it became gamified, and now it's just really piqued my interest more than ever. So the idea of getting into a developer toolkit and learning more about how that works will be cool. Just like how I guess the Seekers run Blender tutorials. Will you guys ever run the ASM tutorials? Those basic ones of how it works. Is that something you guys foresee yourselves doing for the community, or is that something that's a bit too technical?
I think it's a great idea. I think that's up to Suda, but I think that's a good idea.
My dream is to build things with you guys. So if my poor brain can work it out, I will do everything I can to help you guys learn it as well.
Now you have a majestic voice, Suda, and I want to hear more audiobooks from you.
You got it.
Well,
right,
yeah,
that's about all I had time for. Sorry to jump in and.
Well, thanks for joining us, David.
Really appreciate you answering all my questions, and looking forward to ASM coming out with all these products. It sounds like it's going to be an exciting year.
And thanks to Suda for coming and for dragging David here as well. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. In regards to our usual top 5 segment, we are having some technical difficulties. We may or may not be able to do it. And in the meantime, Tybo, let's talk about a couple of other topics. One topic that I want to discuss is Aaron, I think, did at least 2 podcasts and interviews this week. Have you listened to any of them?
Yes, I listened to the Crypto Airy. It's the XRP focused YouTube channel who interviewed Aaron for about 30 minutes. It was heavily orientated towards XRP, but nothing really the white paper couldn't explain to any of us. But what I'm starting to notice is the feedback in the comments was what I was most interested in. People in the XRP community are very interested in finding out more about the Root network and what this is all entailing. So that's really exciting to see the network effects of, you know, Aaron talking with the XRP community and the implications of bringing that community on board. You know, we've got you could say we're kind of a small community with FLUF World, but the XRP community is a lot bigger than us. And if a percentage of them want to partake and get involved, then that's a net positive for our ecosystem, and that's what I'm most excited. And I guess the biggest takeaway I got from that interview is the exposure to a whole other community out there that normally probably only looks at XRP as a payment rail, but now it's becoming a gas token, which is inadvertently going to give exposure to the whole Futureverse ecosystem and the Root network, which is exciting. Did you see any other podcasts though?
Yeah, there was one other one that was with an older gentleman. I don't remember the name of the podcast, but Aaron did post about it on his Twitter, so I can pull up a link to it and pin it. And it was really mostly Aaron's theories about the direction that Web3 is heading. There wasn't anything that I found to be particularly new, but just a refresher of the thesis behind this project, which continues to make more sense to me than the thesis behind other NFT projects.
Yeah, and I think every time I listen to Aaron talk about, you know, his comparisons, you know, he was talking a lot about Amazon, particularly in that YouTube podcast. I'm not sure why he's suddenly talking about Amazon. We'll leave that to some speculation, but he was talking about the parallels of how interconnected Amazon has created a suite of products. It's almost like Amazon is like Amazon and Apple. I think a combination of both, in my opinion, is sort of like what Futureverse is doing, where they're creating a whole suite of products that expand into different areas that are all interconnected and linked. But the problem with Amazon and Apple is that they're centralized and they've got shareholders to keep, you know, it's just a different business model. Web3 is very, you know, you got community running validator nodes, where Amazon, you've got a centralized server, AWS and all that. But it's exciting to see what Amazon is doing. They're bringing out an NFT marketplace next month in April. There's going to be 15 unique collections first on there. And the concept that they have with Amazon, which I find really interesting, is you don't have to have a MetaMask wallet to use the Amazon marketplace. You will literally be able to pay with your credit card. And they want to, I guess, dive into the idea of when you buy a physical product, you get a digital copy as well. And essentially, you won't need a MetaMask wallet. You'll just pay with your credit card through the Amazon account system. And then you'll be able to purchase physical items and get digital items too. And when you think about the Ethereum rails and most blockchains, it's never been that user-friendly to do that. And I'm speculating that there could be some sort of correlation with Amazon launching next month, and the user friendliness is so simple that, you know, it's lining up with the Root network launching this month and next month. So yeah, it's all speculation. Nothing I'm
Very
saying is
speculative.
factual. Very, very speculative, but it's just interesting to see.
It definitely is true that Amazon's focus throughout the past decade plus has been on user experience and ease of use.
And same with Apple. Like, you know, you think about the iPhone, like old people can use Apple iPhones, and you know, even people my age are scared to go to Samsung. I was an Apple user for years. I transferred to Samsung, I think 2-3 years ago, and they're so similar these days that people have just this familiarity bias where they want to stay with what they know. And I think Web3 is hard to break through because of that familiarity bias that we have with what we're currently used to. And I think that's what I'm really excited about the Future Pass, because I noticed people were asking questions about like, oh, where's my seed phrase? Where's this? Where's that? Like, it almost was so easy that it was too easy that people were confused. But for an everyday user that is Web 2, people just sign in with their Google account and it's done. Like, the user experience is so much easier to what we're normally used to. In Web 3 is like people are overthinking it, and I thought that was like a good problem to have when creating the Futureverse pass that people were making. Is like it almost felt like it was just too easy, and I took that as a really good sign, and I'm excited to see it all unravel and we get to use it more and more.
Yeah,
Hey guys,
for sure. The main... Oh, sorry, mate. Go on.
I was just going to say, I have to jump down. I just pinned a tweet from Mickey B. Fresh. He took the interview with Crypto Eddie, and they did a video together where they go into far more detail over the sorts of things Aaron covered in her video. So if you look at that tweet, there's a link to his video in it, and you'll be able to get much more information regarding the XRPL and its automated market maker and other aspects of what Aaron's really excited about. Far more technical, but just another example of how Eddie's done a video, now Mickey's done a video off the back of Eddie's, and then that trickle-down effect into that community as more and more content creators get this information and start building out on it, and it kind of just spreads out from there. One more thing.
The only feedback I can give to Mickey, though, if you could pass it on, Mo, is turn those comments on. I would love to see people talk about it, whereas Crypto Airy had comments on, but Mickey B didn't. But yeah, other than that, it was a good...
I agree. I agree. And I think that might be because he's been covering Flare Network so heavily. And that's had a lot of controversy regarding what they did with the FTSO and the delegating and how they got Flare before. And so there was a lot of controversy there. And because he was covering it so heavily, I think he just got sick of it. But definitely for those videos, I'd like to read the comments too. But certainly very well-educated people saying the right things, and a lot of this stuff we're going to already know, but they're telling it to people who have never heard about it before. So that's the exciting part. Now, just before I jump down, tomorrow, this has been a shill fest up here today, Max. Sorry about that, but hey, here I go. Tomorrow, I've got all the content creators on again. So that's going to be 10 a.m. New Zealand time. I love these guys. I really want to support them. So if you want to come along, these guys are under no NDAs. They're amazing researchers. They're going to speculate like crazy, and they're going to give you their honest opinions of what they think is happening in this ecosystem. And these guys are the big brains in the room. So let them kick the ball around a bit and join us tomorrow. Follow me. The link's in on my feed, and it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. So I hope to see you all there. Anyway, I got to jump down. Sorry for shilling, Max.
And we love you.
Thanks, Max. Max. Thanks, Mai. Appreciate it.
Later, guys.
What were you going to say, Suda?
I was just going to say, shout out to all the creators. You guys have been doing amazing work. But he's gone now, but catch you all tomorrow. I was just going to tack on to what was raised about Future Pass and the whole idea being we want the easiest onboard possible, right? That doesn't mean your assets aren't safe or anything like that, because that's like the biggest thing we worry about. But in terms of actual user experience, what we are used to as a crypto community is a lot of it is based on a fear of the potential risks and things, and we want to kind of eliminate users even having to think about those things, basically. So yeah, just wanted to add on to that, but I missed some of that conversation, so I might not be on point here, but I was just reading the TNL update that they put in. But yeah, I'm back here now, unless you want to share that.
Yeah, if you wanted to share the TNL news, if it's relevant.
I'm actually not on that stream. I was reading it just for my own news as well.
Okay, no worries, all good. Yeah, I think what was fascinating about the whole Future Pass thing was, as someone that has jumped from bridge to bridge when the DeFi days were happening, and Avalanche brought this really awesome bridge, and people were bridging over, and there was yield farming and all sorts of crazy DeFi stuff going on, and then it was Phantom, and then everyone was bridging over there, and I have to connect my MetaMask and make sure I'm going to the right node to connect to the right network, but then I'm expecting something similar with Future Pass, and then I click it, and then it's done, and then I'm seeing my assets, such as the amulet, there in the underground on the root network. It's just, I was so surprised, and it's just really nice to see it actually finally happen, seeing the amulets on the root network in my wallet connected through the Future Pass, and how easy it was. And you didn't need to mess around with MetaMask. It was just so simple. Like, that's what we need for mass adoption, and I'm excited, and I'm here for it, and I'm really excited.
I think there's an element of inherent safety there, where we can instead of like sending you something via the network and then potentially that being flagged, etc., we have a more robust system of delivering like mints to your Future Pass, and with amulets, is like specifically your claim was done for you, basically. And I think we'll keep improving on things like that, even when it comes to communication and stuff in the future. So yeah, it's all going to be heading into that sort of territory.
Yeah, abstracting away things that need to be abstracted away, so we can just focus on the content and the experience while benefiting from the digital ownership.
Yeah, so I have unfortunate news to report, is that due to technical difficulties, the only top 5 that we had was the lame one about the robots. And we're hitting the end of our show, the time that we run our show. So does anyone have any final words before we end it? All right. So thanks to our guests, Suda and Nova. Sorry about my voice. It's a little off today. And we're going to have Somnium back in the US for next week's show, so we look forward to that. Thanks to everyone that listened. The recording will be live immediately after the spaces. And thanks for Brooke and David and everyone else that stopped by. Couldn't do this without you. So look forward to next week. I'm giving one last attempt to get Pufferfish up here for the top 5, but it's not working. So that's why I'm giving a very delayed closing statement. But it doesn't look like it's going to work. So see ya, everyone. See ya, everyone, next week. And hopefully we'll get that sorted next time.
No worries. See you guys. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and maybe consider watching one of my other videos. Bunnies up!